waiting for things to calm down, for the busy season to end, for the project to wrap, for the kids to be a little bit older. Once things settle, you'll finally fix this. But the busy season never ends. I know because I waited for years. When was the last time things actually calmed down and stayed calm? It didn't happen because the next thing always arrives. In the next several minutes, I'm going to show you exactly why waiting is making this harder and what actually breaks the pattern. Let me name the belief underneath that because I think you already know what it is. Probably saying to yourself, this problem deserves real attention, more time and space than I currently have. So I'll handle it when things settle. That feels like logic, but it's costing you something you can't get back. I understand why you believe it, because here's what unrelenting execution mode actually sounds like. You're tracking the school deadline, the doctor's appointment, the team deliverable, and the grocery order, all at once, all the time, alone. You're still at your desk at 6 p.m., not because the work requires it, but because leaving feels like evidence of something, like proof you're not committed, like you're choosing to fail. You arrive home with nothing left and snap at your kids within 10 minutes of walking through the door. Your partner asks what's wrong, and you say nothing because explaining feels like more work than just carrying it. And you're lying awake at 3 a.m., replaying a Slack message and your response. You're not falling apart. You're not failing. You're not broken. You're not failing because you're not enough. You feel like you're failing because execution mode never stops and nobody taught you how to shift out of it. But here's what I know. No one who has genuinely redesigned their life did it during a calm season. Think about the people that you admire who rebuilt their health, their career, their marriage. None of them waited for circumstances to cooperate first. Calm isn't the prerequisite, it's the reward. I've coached over 100 ambitious working parents through this exact pattern, and here's what I've learned. This isn't really about waiting for the right time, is it? It's about believing you don't have the power to step out of the loop right now, in the middle of everything. But you absolutely do, and I'm going to show you why and how. If you're watching this, you may have already tried to change something. You've set the intention. You've had the conversation. You know something needs to shift. So why hasn't it? And why does waiting feel like the responsible move? I understand. I know this pattern because I lived it. For years, I had a reason for every season. I couldn't do it now because I was managing a career, 3 busy kids, chronic Lyme disease. Adding anything else felt impossible. I didn't want to spend money on myself. There was always a better place for that investment. And honestly, I was afraid. What if I uncovered something that would blow up my career or my marriage? Part of me thought it was safer not to look. So I waited. And while I waited, resentment built in the silence because I never asked for what I needed from anyone. My Lyme disease kept worsening because I kept pushing through. I remember standing in front of my kids, telling them I was doing my best and feeling like a failure because my best still wasn't enough. When my marriage imploded, the size of what came crashing down made something clear that all my reasons couldn't argue with. This was bigger than me. Every reason I had for waiting was still true, but none of them had gone away. None of them were worth what the waiting had cost. Here's what the waiting is actually doing. It doesn't feel like perfectionism. It feels like logic, like you're being responsible, maybe even setting yourself up for success. But execution mode doesn't just consume your time. It generates the very conditions that make change feel impossible. The longer you stay in it, the more undone work piles up, the more fires appear, the more locked in you become. Time passes anyway. Every week you defer, that's a week gone. Not banked, not saved for later, gone. The time you were waiting to have, you just spent it waiting. That's not a circumstance problem. That's a loop. And the loop doesn't break by waiting for better circumstances. It breaks when you step out of it in the middle of the circumstances you already have. And the cruel irony, the reasons you're waiting, no time, afraid of what you'll uncover, not sure if it'll stick, those aren't signs that now is the wrong time. They're signs you've been in the loop long enough that stepping out feels impossible. They felt that way to me too, right up until I stopped waiting. The loop doesn't break when things calm down. It breaks when you decide to step out. Most people hear that and try to fix things immediately. They jump straight to the work, and that's exactly where the next problem lives. If you've come across my 3-phase method before, this next part may sound familiar. Here's the question worth sitting with. If you know what needs to change, why hasn't it yet? You finally commit to change. You start communicating what you need. You redistribute responsibilities with your partner. You start protecting time at work. And it works. All these changes you're trying to implement for about 2 weeks. Then life gets hard again. A bad week, a work sprint, a sick kid, and it all collapses. You end up right back where you started, except now you also feel like a failure for not being able to make the change stick. That's not a willpower problem, and it's not a strategy problem. It's a sequence problem. Think of it this way. If you tried to build the second floor of a house before the foundation was set, the whole thing buckles the moment you add the roof. The problem isn't your construction skills. The foundation wasn't there. The communication, the redistribution, the boundaries, those are all redesign work. And redesign can't hold without a foundation. And that foundation is called rebalance. And most people skip it entirely. Rebalance has 3 jobs. First, it restores your energy, creating the capacity to actually do the work ahead. Second, it reconnects you to your strengths and values so you know what you're actually building toward. Without that, you're redesigning in the dark, setting boundaries without knowing what you're protecting, redistributing responsibilities without knowing you're only handing off and keeping all the noticing and planning for yourself, so the mental load stays exactly where it was. And third, rebalance quiets the inner critic running in the background, the voice that says you should be able to handle this on your own, that slowing down means falling behind. Until you interrupt that voice, it will undermine every system you try to build. But here's the piece that almost everyone misses within Rebalance itself: energy capacity. You can't make meaningful change running on empty. You can have perfect clarity about exactly what needs to shift and still not be able to execute it if your tank is empty. Not just having enough capacity, but learning to deploy it deliberately, matching the right energy to the right task. Most people try to redesign their lives at maximum depletion and then wonder why nothing sticks. This is where working smarter, not harder, actually starts. Not with a better system, not with a better conversation, with enough capacity deployed deliberately. The Energized Leader Method runs in sequence. Rebalance first, then redesign, then reinvent, in that order for exactly this reason. Part of what makes the sequence so hard to see is that you're inside of it. You can't diagnose what you're living in. Skip the foundation and it collapses the first time life gets hard, which is exactly what's happened before. Skip the foundation and you're not failing at change. You're trying to build without one. I told myself the same thing, that I should be able to figure this out on my own, that asking for help was proof I couldn't handle it. Here's what I know now. The most capable people are often the worst at diagnosing themselves, not because they're not smart enough, but because they can't see what they're inside of. Capability is what keeps you pushing through instead of stepping back. I needed someone who could see what I was inside of. That's what changed everything. Your job won't suddenly get easier. Your boss won't magically transform. The busy season won't disappear. But 3 months from now, you'll either have a real diagnosis, a clear entry point, and systems starting to hold, or you'll still be waiting for the same calm that isn't coming while the loop keeps tightening. Time passes either way. The only question is whether you're using it or you're waiting it out. The Ambitious Parents Energy Breakthrough Call is a free 45-minute diagnostic session. We'll identify exactly where you are in the sequence, why past attempts haven't held, and your first move in the middle of everything you're already managing. The right time was 6 months ago. The second best time is now. The link for the breakthrough call is in the description. Book it now.